With the Genesis Saga coming to a conclusion in Chapter 4, we now turn our attention to the Drasil universe. Chris, Daroun, Anna, Brandy, Tanya, Gabriel, Angela, and Daniel have been transported to this universe by Uriah. Here the setting for the first time will change drastically. The normal and Andiron universes are physically the same visually, the Drasil universe is not. This saga is unique as it will be the only one to take place entirely in one universe, the Drasil universe. The story resumes close to a week after the events of Chapter 4. Chris and Gabriel are the first to arrive in the forest zone, and Gabriel will use this as an opportunity to challenge Chris to a fight. Uriah appears and stops them immediately before they can finish the fight. At the same time, Brandy and Anna also arrive in the industrial zone of the Drasil universe. Tanya and Angela appear and challenge them to a tag team fight. After Daniel interferes on their behalf, Daroun steps in. The girls quickly end their fight, and they decide to seek refuge in a nearby building. Soon Chris, Gabriel, and Uriah arrive in the industrial zone, and are greeted by Daroun. He leads them to where the rest of the original 8 are. Uriah orders that they all stay there together for the night regardless of their differences. The next day after running a 2-mile course, the original 8 meet Darren, Uriah's boss. First plot point: the Drasil universe, the next piece of the chaotic universe multiverse. It is a parallel universe, self-contained and stands as a separate entity. It does not share the same space, time, matter, energy, information, and the physical laws and constants that bond the normal and Andiron universes. The Drasil universe is broken up into 4 different zones: the Industrial Zone, Forest Zone, Ancient Zone, and the Jungle Zone. Each are modeled in the image of real-world environments they are named after. The difference is each zone has spiritual properties that affect its inhabitants within the zone. I will only outline the effects of the 2 zones that appeared in the main text in Chapter 5. The Forest Zone's first effect is the enhancement of fighting spirit, which involves the will to fight with slight enhancement of physical skill. The Industrial Zone increases thoughts of innovation and progress, the main idea of building a successful city. Time in the Drasil universe passes by differently than time in the normal and Andiron universes. Every day spent in the Drasil universe is equal to 1 minute in the Drasil universe. So far they have spent 2 days there, which means it has only been minutes since they left the normal universe at this point. Uriah created the Drasil universe as a training/battleground. Unlike the normal and Andiron universes, the Drasil universe has not been in existence since the beginning of time. The Drasil universe is inspired by Brazil and its many environments there. I have always wanted to go there, so I modeled this universe after it. As this saga goes on, we will dig deeper into the Drasil universe. Second plot point: events that happen outside of the main text, but not featured as a flashback. The first is Uriah transporting the original 8 to the Drasil universe. This is why the chapter starts in the Drasil universe, as opposed to Mount Fuji in the normal universe, where Chapter 4 ends. The second is Uriah teaching them to fight, also known as physical training. This too happens outside of the main text, making the next plot point possible. I originally wrote that training into Chapter 4, but I wanted that chapter as well as this one to be as short as possible. The last is Daroun and Daniel's arrival in the Drasil universe. Daroun mentions them coming from the Jungle Zone. Since Tanya and Angela were hiding in the Industrial Zone, their arrival is not represented in the main text, but the 2 clearly landed in the Industrial Zone, given that they were already there when Anna and Brandy arrive. Third plot point: first contacts. This was my inspiration for naming the chapter First Contact, for 2 reasons. We get our first fights in the story between main characters, as well as the original 8 meeting Darren for the first time. First, Gabriel and Chris face off in a very evenly matched fight. Neither take a decisive advantage. Uriah breaks up the fight before a winner is declared, making the result of the fight a draw. Brandy and Anna are challenged to a tag team fight by Tanya and Angela. The 2 teams are evenly matched, but Tanya and Angela have the size advantage physically. As the fight heats up, Daniel interferes and throws Brandy, who was wrestling on the ground with Angela. Daroun reveals himself, which starts a brief fight between him and Daniel. Daroun wins easily and the girls finish their fight after Anna knocks Angela out with a kick. It is clear here that the original 8 have been trained to fight, and out of curiosity test their skills against each other. These are the first official fights in the chaotic universe canon. Fourth plot point: Ioeo. She appears early in the chapter, breaking up Chris and Gabriel's fight in the Forest Zone. She quickly directs the 2, finding the others, which is her reason for being there. Now here is where we can get in depth about her. We find out here that everything that she has taught them has been guided by her boss Darren. She is following orders, and her actions going forward will reflect that. The question is, was it really coincidence that Gabriel and Chris landed in the same zone? that the four girls as well as Drown and Daniel also landed in the same place. This again makes you wonder if Uriah is manipulating the situation. Given that each person's specific rival just so happened to end up in the same place, she also does not break up the fight between the girls, or the fight that occurs in between. Keep this in mind as this saga continues. It will eventually dictate some of the characters' decisions in the future. Once she has all 8 of them together, she demands that they stay there together until the next day. Here Uriah becomes more serious with them, and attempts to get the 2 groups of 4 to stop trading barbs, and focus on their training. Once Darren arrives, Uriah lets him address the original 8. Fifth plot point. Darren, Uriah's boss. He is benevolent, but authoritative. He appears to be a deity in human form. He knows a lot about the original 8 despite meeting for the first time. After revealing what he knows about them, he separates them into 2 groups of 4 and challenges them to find a looking glass hidden in the Drasil universe. If any member of any team finds it, that group will become the defenders of the Andiron universe. But first he wants to teach them how to use elemental abilities, the ones that exist in the Andiron universe. As he tells each of them which element they will learn, he gives Gabriel his abilities when he requests to learn how to use electricity, which is not an actual element. For some reason he does not tell Chris what element he is going to learn yet. In the original template, Darren is called Kami Tora, and he appears to Chris in a different form every time he allows him to travel to the alternate universe. In the end he manipulates Chris into killing his alternate self, so that he can stay in there with the alternate Tanya of that story. Darren is the repackaged version of that character created for the chaotic universe plot, and his role becomes that of mentor and authority in regards to all universal matters. Sixth plot point. Daniel and Angela's plan. Tanya leaves their camp to train her physical techniques. Daniel and Angela inform Gabriel about their plan to get back at Chris. They intend to set him up by using Tanya. Gabriel likes their plan but wants them to hold off until they learn more about the Drasil universe. This is where chapter 5 ends. The plot thickens here. The characters are thrust into an unknown environment. They also get their first taste of battle, met the person who is making all of this possible, and learned what they will be doing in the Drasil universe. The original 8's next test will be elemental training, and following that Chris, Drown, Anna, and Brandy will compete against Tanya, Gabriel, Angela, and Daniel to determine who Darren will choose to become the official defenders of the Andiron universe. The next chapter of Chaotic Universe is elemental training.